to Ace Trainer Australia. My name is Bodhi, and this is a new show where we're going to be profiling international players and local Australian players in the lead up to the international in Melbourne in March. My first guest, I'm very pleased that he is able to join me today, is the 2016 world champion in the senior division, Jesper Eriksen. Welcome, Jesper.
Thank you very much.
All right, Jesper, we're gonna do four difficult questions and one series of fun questions. So we're
All
gonna
right.
make it nice and we're not going to ease you into anything here, especially in Australia. It's going to be good fun. What I want to hear from you first is we were chatting about it a little bit before, but it's your history as a player, and this is your first year as a master. That's correct, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
All right. So I want you to have a little chat about how you started and how you got to this point now, being one of the best players in the world.
Oh yeah. Well, of course, as a younger sibling of three older brothers, it's you always want to do whatever they do, and in this case, rather they played Pokemon. So I was a little kid trying to learn what they did, and I was begging my brothers to learn me how to play the game. And on my sixth birthday, they started telling me how to, and it all started from there. I qualified for Worlds my first season by doing top 8 at Nationals my first year, playing a really straightforward Blissey deck. And then from there, I won 4 Nationals, Worlds, whatever. I won basically every event I could ever win. Yeah.
If you had to say, aside from the World Championships, because the World Championships is, of course, the most prestigious event, is there an event that you have won or that you've placed very well in that's your favorite or that's your most memorable?
Oh, that's a tough one. Well, I was really proud of my accomplishment doing top 32 at Liverpool regionals this season and London this season, of course. But winning, well, that must be like my fourth nationals win. Uh, I got really lucky in finals in 2013. I top decked the Skyla, so I could play a catcher on a Lugia. Otherwise, I wouldn't have won the game. But yeah, I think that would be one of my most prestigious wins because it was the two best senior players in Denmark at the current time, and that match was is unforgettable for me because even though it's like a distant memory, I still remember all the top deck Skyline. Oh yeah, I can play catcher for a win.
I want to talk to you now a little bit about formats. You mentioned a couple of decks during this time, and I want to talk to you about sort of your favorite formats. You told me you've been playing for 10 years now, which is fantastic, and you really do represent the sort of how the game grows from you as a child until you do make it into these adult years. Do you have a favorite format going back these past 10 years?
Well, I don't think I'm the only one liking the Majestic Dawn Call of Legend format. That was a format really focused on skill, even though there were a lot of SP mirrors. Those were quite enjoyable. Even though I don't think I played SP at that time because I was a junior player, I wasn't that smart. I really like the 2012 format though. It kind of represents a last form of a Night March, but it was quite different in some way. And I just really like the speed of the 2012 format, and you still have to preserve your resources, and it's really good to learn how to play the game, even though it's not like a standard format or expanded format.
The 2012 format is a format that I talk about quite a lot actually as being one of my favorites as well, especially decks like Darkrai Mewtwo and CMT, which is probably what you're talking about as well.
Oh yes, it is.
What this is going to be a bit of an off-topic question now, not necessarily about your first year as a master, but for the current format that we're in, which is Primal Clash to Evolutions, do you have a
Yes.
favorite card in the current format?
Hmm. We don't have a legal Ditto. Uh, well, I really like Mega Break. And Mega. I want Worlds with those and Vespiquen, but my favorite Pokemon is something like Gumi or Ditto, but my favorite card must be Mega because of what it's done for me.
I'd like to talk to you just a little bit about Yam Mega Break now in the format. After the World Championships and after your performance, we had a rotation, and there was still quite a lot of hype for Yam Mega and Yam Mega Break going around. The deck
But yeah,
has not had a very notable performance since your World Championship performance. Can you think of why that might be? Is it because of the resurgence of Garbodor sort of in the format after the World Championships that Yam Mega Break is not being paid?
um, well, the deck lost Valve Compressor, but I don't think that was a huge deal. Of course I tested the deck, but yeah. It only had a really good matchup against Mega Mewtwo because at some point Sky Returns will be enough to like you can one hit with Vespiquen in the start of the format. But in the end, Garbodor decks took over. Um, Greninja wasn't that good of a matchup anymore, so all the big decks took over, and in the end, you couldn't. You have Volcani as well, which is like screws it over. So I think it was because of the fact that Yanmega was built for Worlds only. It was built for a Night March and Water Box heavy meta at the time, and that was why it was good for Worlds, and it's not good anymore at all.
Going forward now, does this current format need tool removal in a form of a trainer or supporter like previous formats?
Well, that's a tough question you're putting at me. Of course, tool room will always be nice, but it might be some way that Greninja will just become too good, in my opinion. If you get a solid tool removal card, Greninja will just like use that all the time, and maybe there will be a cause of a new Night March thing. Um, I think the format's healthy as it is. I just don't really like a format where there's a billion decks to play and you can't be sure what to play because there's counters everywhere for every deck, especially stuff like Evil Tall, where you have like Substriga, Raichu, even Jolteon, whatever deck you can be thrown at you.
Now, this format with Greninja especially, there's been a lot of talk about Greninja going forward. In the Sun and Moon set, there are lots of grass Pokemon coming out that are relatively popular, and it's going to give Forest of Giant Plants even more popularity. And Greninja being weak to grass is not really going to have a good time with a turn 1 200 HP Pokemon hitting for 80 damage weakness on them from the get-go. What I want to ask you now is where is Greninja's place in the meta going forward? Will it always be good?
I really think we should give it a few weeks after Sun and Moon and give it some tournaments. I'm still optimistic about stuff like Greninja because it's such a powerful deck. You know, doing 120 with abilities and then shot off your opponent's abilities afterwards. It's amazing, but I think it's like other decks that have been good before and has just resurgent. Um, you can always a deck can always have a hiatus. We had Whaler this weekend, which was very huge in Leiden at the special event. Researched and nobody was prepared for it. That might be the same case with Greninja if there comes too many counters to all the grass Pokemon. It just turns into pure metagaming, and I don't really know how consistent these new grass archetypes will be. So that's something the future has to show us before I'll consider Greninja, of course.
All right, I want to talk about you mentioned it again, your Leiden performance. It was a special event in over in Europe. We
Yeah.
This is the first. proper special event of the season, I believe. Has there been another one in the US or something?
There was a Spiel convention in Essen in Germany, but
Okay.
yeah, it's the second one.
Okay, so there's been two in Europe now. So I want to talk to you about your performance. What deck did you play for this special event?
I just play Evil Tall Garb, with a 3-2 split of 3-2 split of Fright Night Evil Tall and Evil Tall EX.
Okay, so you played a much thinner line of Eviltel EX. Is that correct?
I
Or
played
other way around?
free Evil Tall
Okay,
EX.
yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of Yveltal lists popping up pretty much since London. Everybody who plays the deck and does well in an event, the deck lists always go up with a few differences. What's your opinion on the 4 Eviltel EX, specifically designed for the mirror match and things like that?
It's absolutely broken in mirror match. Like you rotate around 3-4 Yveltals is just so good. If you play PCL as well, it's it becomes better because then the evil tool you choose to take out of use in a mirror will never be last center KO'd. The evil tool mirror is always a puzzle, but I think if you have 4 EX versus 3 EXs, you have a huge advantage. I had the matchup in a weekend where I played with 3 EX against 4. That matchup isn't fun for the 3 EX guy because he has to find all 3, and if it's once priced, or he discards early, he has to find him super odd and stuff. So it isn't too comfortable playing with only 2 EXs in mirror if you have one prized. Even 3 EXs might become pretty difficult. Um, so I believe that 4 EXs is the way forward. And then you have to make space for like maybe one Fright Night to deal with all the mega decks like Gardevoir, Scissor, whatever.
And speaking about Yveltal now, have you had a chance to look much at the Sun and Moon cards?
No, I haven't. I I had the same with the Worlds format before. I'm really bad at looking new sets. So whenever I see the cards in the pack, I'll be like, "Oh, that has potential," or I'll be like, "Oh, that's bad." And that's where I'll probably see the cards, like looking at them, thinking of them for the first time. Maybe I'll just look at some scans and see, "Oh, that's good." Or if it gets posted on Verbank, I have to read it.
That's true. Is is that where you get the predominant amount of your news from the online Facebook groups?
Excuse me?
Is that where you get the majority of the news about Pokemon from online Facebook groups?
Well, I read a lot of 60 cards articles since I'm a pro member article writer myself. Um, Well, I read about stuff there, term reports, and looking. They might include some new set reviews that I can look at. Otherwise, a lot of Pokemon news comes through Verbank, HeyFonte. Even people writing to me has been like, Jesper, have you seen this new card in Sun and Moon? It's so good. And I'll be like, I haven't read it.
Do you think this question sort of goes towards Pokemon as a company now? Do you think that that Pokemon should have more of a role in providing news to the players, or do Facebook groups like Burbank City and Hey Fonte, article sites and sites like PokeBeach, do they do more than enough for Pokemon not to be necessary in the news market?
Well, I really like the inclusions of them showing off popular meta decks as they did before Worlds and Nationals and stuff, like last year. I don't think they do that anymore, but them showing also really good regionals performance lists. Every top 8 in every division at big regionals is really good. But in every circumstance, as a company, as a distributor, anything a tournament organizer plays, TPCI really has to step up the game when it comes to communication. We had the example with DreamHack this weekend. Even though it was the London office that has to do this, DreamHack had this problem with 16 and under, actually 15 and under can't enter the event. And it's a Pokemon event, you can't limit people. So they had a really huge problem with maybe we don't have any first year masters or seniors or juniors playing a DreamHack just because of their rules. And luckily, it just announced 3 days ago, but we had a lot of people ask to cancel that. And I think Pokemon, on every circumstance, has to be more active with the casual player and the competitive player to help them go to events and make them feel welcome.
Absolutely. And I think that this is the first year that Pokemon is offering sort of these regional big cash prizes and these big international events, four of them a year, including the World Championships. It is a very big learning year for Pokemon right now, and they're going to see community reactions. They're going to see the things that they did well get praised, and they're going to see the things that they can improve on. Of course, they're going to get support tickets and they're going to get emails from players and families about these kind of things. And I think that the good thing about Pokemon is that generally, even if they're slow to respond in the beginning, they do over time manage to work to a scenario that benefits everybody, and that's not an easy thing to do, especially with multiple offices all over the world and multiple languages and player bases and everything like that. I think that the step from last year to this year was always going to be a little bit rocky, especially with all of these international events and with all of these international competitors coming to international events and the introduction of new events. Um, it was going to be tough, and for next season, I think we will see a big improvement in a lot of things. But I think that that's maybe even for some people that is not enough and that's too slow and that they need answers now. I think that Pokemon is learning on the fly and they will start picking it up as we get into 2017 and as we get into the rest of the year there will be much deeper and much better communication going forward.
Yeah.
So Jesper, how did you place at this special event?
Oh, I didn't really do too good. Um, I started out playing against some Gardevoir, and I started at 1-0. It's always a dream when you want to go to tournament, when you want to start winning. But then I'm at two mirror matches in a row, and the first one was against a 4EX guy, and luckily I tied that because time was just got called in the right second of time before I drew my card for turn. So he was turn zero. That was why I tied the game basically. And then I had another mirror match, which ended in a tie as well because I needed one more turn. When I was playing against a 3X guy as well. So we played identical lists, and I kind of had played him over. He was almost out of attackers, but he clinged on to his last hopes and got the tie off it. And then 2 rounds in a row, um, I'm at first I'm at Vespiquen Substrigo. Really, really bad matchup for a Voltol. Everyone must know that. That's not fun to play against. And I lost 2-0 really quickly. And then I played against Wildplume Toolbox. Another bad matchup, which when you price your only Flare Grunt in a deck, you don't have a chance because you can't discard energies off Jelja and hope that they will miss it, and then you can Evil Ball for KO. That's not good. uh, then I met some. I was 1-2-2, so I met some crappy deck. I met a Defied Alone Lucario with Talonflame.
Oh, okay.
Lucario does 30 plus 60 for each fewer Pokemon you have in play. So he used Captivating Pokepuff. Only had Talonflame Lucario in play. Used Captivating Pokepuff to fill my bench, but then my Parallel City kind of rejected that, so you can only do 150 tops with Lucario. I just Lysander KO is real. It was all the time. So that wasn't the worst matchup I ever felt, but it was a really fun deck to play against, and see it actually working. That was weird. Um, then I played against a Volcanion. I got turn 2 Fright Night both games, and I got 2 Volta EX with 4 energies in late game. She couldn't do a lot. And then I played against a guy last round when I was 3-2-2. I couldn't win anything. I couldn't get top 32 after that match. I hoped I could, but I couldn't in the end. It was basically just playing for fun. But I played against another Volcanian. It was quite scrappy games. They were really bad. We both death drew a bit, and then if it's a death draw fight between Yveltal and Volcanian, Yveltal just pulls out as victorious because evil ball, I guess. And yeah, I ended 43rd or something. I wasn't quite satisfied with my performance, but what can you do when you play against a two mirror matches who takes a long time, and you play against basically two auto losses when those decks heads up. So yeah. Otherwise, the weekend's been pretty good.
Did your brothers play in the event too?
Um, well, one of my three brothers currently has like some kind of high school boarding school thing he has to finish, so he doesn't play anymore. My other brother Simon, he chose to stay at home because he had some shifts at his work and he likes to drink, so he did that. And of course, Stefan went to the event. He lives in the Netherlands as well, so it was like 2 hour train ride for him. And yeah, he didn't do. I did better than him at least. So that's one thing. That's my goal, being the best of my brothers. And that's why I'm not crying about the event, but I'm not satisfied either.
We're going to look forward now a little bit to DreamHack. Like you mentioned, this weekend there is another event going down in the European region, and that is the DreamHack special event.
Oh
Jesper,
yeah,
after what you saw last weekend at you're gonna have to remind me of the name of the place. I would be terrible at pronouncing European names.
oh yeah,
So was it Leipzig? Lipsen?
Leipzig.
Leipzig. Okay. So after what
Yes.
you saw in Leipzig,
It
uh,
was. I played Leiden this weekend. Leipzig was next weekend. There we go.
okay, Leipzig, then Leiden. Okay,
Leiden, then Leipzig.
Leiden, then okay. All right. So in Leiden,
Yes.
you saw. Well, you played against a couple of auto lost decks for a Veltal, and going forward, there was an Veltal that won, I believe, and Whale Lord was second. Is that correct?
Yeah. My teammate, Robin Schultz won against Waylord. He told me after a match, or he wrote to me. I went home at that time, but he wrote to me after a match that he only won because he donked him game two. He lost pretty convincing in game one, and game three he took four prizes and won on time.
Whale Lord, very unexpected.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
well, I want to talk about the event at DreamHack this weekend. Are you expecting more strange decks like that going to the event? Are you expecting more counter decks to a Veltal? Is there a meta shaping up in the European region that you can pinpoint or that you might be expecting going to this event?
You never know. All the big decks are played in the Europe. You can't expect anything because if you go like, well, I'm probably not going to meet Guardy today, so just play Mega Mewtwo and hoping I do it, and then you meet like five Guardies and you'd be like, what's going on? Every deck is played. Waylord was really unexpected. He was like the only Waylord play in the room. That was really weird, but I think it's like U.S. Nationals where if people just tweak one card and play that, the card isn't Bumblebee though. Don't play Bumblebee because he plays Lugia, as you know. Uh, if you find you know some strat, you can always find a strategy against it, and most of the time you win. I try it myself, and I find some few quick ways to win against it. So Wheeler shouldn't be that much of a problem going into the tournament. So I'm more looking at other matchups, specifically like Yveltal and Gardevoir and all that kinds of stuff. Vespiquen, Striker, yeah, and hope I can find a deck which can at least win two of those matches.
Now, speaking of Vespiquen, Zeb Striker. I want to chat to you a little bit about that deck as someone with significant Vesperkun experience. Your deck at the World Championships played Bursting Balloon, specifically, I imagine, for the Night March matchup.
Yes, of course.
Is
Otherwise,
Bursting
it would
Balloon
be an auto loss.
is Bursting Balloon in this format right now? Can it see play in more than just Greninja decks?
Hmm. You saw a bit of play in night. It was like it's like Night March. You saw a bit of play of that, but you see Megadex Sneak to Spur Link. Evoltol just plays floats on Fighting Fury Ball. Wailord doesn't win on prizes. Vesper Kunst Striker doesn't have space for it, and you discard Pokemon really easy as well. So the 6 damage not needed. I don't think there's any other deck competitive that needs Burst and Bloom more than Greninja. So I don't really think there's competitive deck out there that needs Burst and Bloom. I might be wrong. I never know. There's always something that can surprise me because I am not the best deck builder. I am just focused on playing, and there might be like who has a good purpose, who serves a good purpose from Burst and Bloom.
All right, let's switch our focus now to the Melbourne International.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
you told me before we started this that your plans are slightly dependent on Pokemon giving out travel awards from the London event,
Oh yeah.
but I want to ask you specifically if you come to the Melbourne International, you looking forward to it?
Of course. I've never been to Australia before, and it will be some of one of the lifetime trips. Because if you have to have money for like both worlds, or if you have to have money for going to worlds every year, you can. It's not really affordable to go to Australia. I'm at the point in my life where I have to choose education and stuff. So if I ever go to Australia after this event, if I go, it'll be long out in the future, and it'll be a really. I will look really forward to it. I really like big events and competing, and just meeting all kinds of new people. Like when I go into a room, like 75% of Pokemon players know me, but half the times I don't know them. So I've heard a lot with people coming over to me and hi and how are you doing, and I really like the friendly stuff about every tournament, but the thing you can be more excited about going to Australia specifically is like it, climate stuff, and it's probably better weather in Denmark. So it will be a good trip for me. Uh, but in preparation for Australia, in terms of Pokemon, I will just do it like any other event. Yeah.
So the international, of course, will be one of the first big. There will be one or two regionals in America. It will be the first sort of huge event playing the Sun and Moon format. The Sun and Moon format will, of course, be legal
Oh
for
yeah.
March. You haven't done so much looking at the Sun and Moon set, so I won't ask you too many questions about all the cards in the set. But is there a card that you have seen by any chance that you like the look of in the Sun and Moon format, even if it's just one of the 3 or 4 cards that you have seen?
Ooh, I heard about a lot of buzzing again about Lunala GX,
Hmm.
right? Is that's a Pokemon, right?
Yes.
And Muck. I think Muck has potential. Uh, Dependent on how you can fit it into the deck. Because I tested with my brother today, with all the Wailord stuff in Leipzig. But I spoke to him about. We had a brief talk about Muck and Garbodor next format because Muck has free retreat cost, and I don't think it will replace Garbodor in the next couple of in the next couple of months or maybe a year because Garbodor is just so much better. Muck probably needs Flowstone to retreat if you Lysander anyway, so why play Muck over Garbodor? Um, but I think Mach has potential. Uh, but you never know until what you see of the first regional or two, and then you can make counters to decks or just make a new rogue deck.
So Lunala EX, I'll quickly remind you of what it does since you did mention it. It's 250 HP, Stage 2 Psychic Pokemon, and its ability is Psychic Transfer, which is like Aromatisse from the Black and White series, so you can move as many Psychic Energy as you
XY.
like. XY,
Aromatisse
sorry.
XY.
X and Y series, not God. It's hard to keep up sometimes, but so it's the
Well,
same as the XY Aromatisse, but for Psychic Energy, and
yeah.
it has one bad attack, and its GX attack is 3 Psychic Energy, and you pick a Pokemon on your opponent's field, and if it's a basic, it's knocked out.
Oh, takeout. Ooh. Yeah.
Uh,
Oh yeah, actually, I just looked up the scans and yeah, I see it. That's that's pretty good if you stack up all the energy. But yeah,
when these were first released, Solgaleo and Lunala, of course, we didn't know that they were Stage 2 Pokemon. Uh,
no, yeah,
Legendaries have always generally been basic Pokemon, and maybe they've had other forms or something like that in the games. I'm not an expert on the games, but usually legendary Pokemon are basic Pokemon. So we thought that these might be
yes,
basics, and if Lunala was a basic Pokemon, it would be
broken.
quite ridiculous. It would be insane,
Yes,
honestly.
let's say it that way.
It would be absolutely insane. So knowing that they're Stage 2s and seeing just the sheer amount of evolution Pokemon and strong evolution Pokemon in the Sun and Moon set, Rare Candy does feel like it might make a little bit of a comeback going forward.
Well, yeah, if you have stage two decks, it's really common to play Arcani if it's a format with stuff like well, I play Arcani Greninja. Um, yeah, and if you have no item log, we only have Vileplume, which isn't played at all. Um, and isn't really consistent. So if we don't have a Pokemon like Trevenant from XY or Seismitoad from Fighting so Furious Fists, we will probably see Raikkonen to power these evolutions and maybe play like the old days in a couple of formats where we will play Skyla to pick the Raikkonen and Raikkonen of Pokemon back. So I am quite excited to see how the format will go because I don't really like this format with all the small Pokemon just doing like massive damage. I'm just hoping that we get a evolution format which goes back and makes a sort of comeback to the old formats where we used Raikkonen and Skyla and stuff.
All right, we're going to go into our last topic now, Jesper. I want to thank you for sticking with me for this long. But it's just some fun facts about Australia, and I want to sort of ask you a couple of questions about Australia, maybe test your knowledge and see what we can do there. There's going to be hopefully plenty of Australian players watching this and getting very excited for the international. That's what we're trying to do here at Ace Trainer Australia, which is why we've revamped our YouTube and our Facebook page to really try and push for this international. We're very grateful to Pokemon that we have the opportunity to host the first Oceanic international event. There was a lot of talk about it being in Singapore or Malaysia as well, which is a little bit further up north than we are.
Yeah,
So I will ask you, how far do you think your Australian knowledge goes? Have you seen Crocodile Dundee? Do you know who Steve Irwin is? Do you know these people?
you got kangaroos.
That is true. We do have kangaroos.
Yes, and I've seen a bit of Dundee, and you said Steve-O.
Steve Irwin. He is
Oh,
the crocodile
I
hunter.
thought you said Steve-O because I've watched too much Jackass.
Ah, okay.
Oh yeah, Steve-O, the guy who died for the bite of something.
Yeah, yes, I'll give you
Oh
that.
yeah.
All right. So, what do you know about Melbourne? Melbourne is where the international is going to be. It's in the southern part of Australia.
Well, Melbourne is not the capital of Australia. Melbourne is probably bigger or has more population in their city than Denmark has in total. I'll
What
say
is the
that.
population of Denmark?
5.5 million people, I guess, around that number.
Well, Australia has about 25 million people, and the population of Melbourne is just over 4 million.
Damn it.
So it's quite close actually. That was from 2012, just over 4 million people in Melbourne. But Melbourne is a notoriously very cold city
Oh,
i- in anything that isn't summer. So you will be here
uh,
in March. It will be just after summer finishes, and we will be heading into autumn. Yes.
yeah, autumn. Yeah,
The only way I remember that is from the Gen 5 Pokemon Swordsbuck, because it's supposed to represent the weather, summer, autumn, winter, and spring. That's the way that you remember it.
oh yeah,
So yes, Melbourne generally a very cold place, not in summer. The average temperature is around 24 degrees Celsius, which I think
24 is that's pretty hot.
is that hot for you guys, is it?
Well, our summer, like June, is like 24. 25 is like really high. And then if you hit 30, it's national holiday. I'm close to saying that. So yeah,
Right now, where I am in Brisbane, which is in the north side of Australia, it is currently 7 o'clock in the morning, and it's already 27 degrees.
ooh,
We're in summer at the moment, so it's very hot here. It can get up to 40 in the summers. In Melbourne especially, it gets over 40 degrees in the summer quite often. 42, 43
yeah,
degrees over 100 Fahrenheit. So
yeah.
I want to talk to you now about our national animals. Do you know the national animals? There are two of Australia.
Kangaroo, and I don't know the second one.
If you had to guess, what do you think it might be?
You said something about crocodiles, so I go with crocodile.
That was a good guess, though. It's definitely a good guess. It's an emu.
Oh yeah, damn.
An emu is another.
I knew that.
Uh, they cannot walk backwards. Kangaroos and emus, they cannot walk backwards. They can only go forwards.
But a kangaroo can kick your ass.
A kangaroo can kick your ass. Yes, if you've seen that viral video of the man punching the kangaroo, that's an everyday occurrence in Australia.
Oh yeah, I heard about it. I don't think I've seen it, but it's like really fun. Like man goes up and slaps a kangaroo. Pretty pretty weird. Let's say that at the very least.
Now, you've probably heard quite a lot about spiders and snakes in Australia. There's six of the top 10 most dangerous snakes live in Australia, but not to worry because they do not live in Melbourne.
But they might be on a plane, so
That
snakes on a
is
plane
true,
again.
exactly. If you're coming over on a big 17-hour flight, there could be some stowed away.
And snakes on a plane would happen. Woo!
Bring your film camera.
If I survive, that is the question.
So the other thing about Melbourne is that it has been Australia's world's most and the world's most livable city several times in the last 5 years. It's a very
Yeah,
strong economic city, and it's a beautiful city. Honestly, everybody that lives in Australia is Melbourne is their favorite place to go, even if you aren't from Melbourne generally. So be thankful that it is in Melbourne, one of the most wonderful cities in the world. I would be confident in saying. I want to talk to you about Pokemon in Australia now, too, very briefly.
yeah.
So our national championships, the highest attendance for our national championships was 161 masters, which seems relatively small compared to the 1100 that you get in America. I guess you could compare our attendance reports on national level events to that of England, and I know that you have had lots of experience in English events as well.
Yeah, I think it's also like I know you have like 25 million people living in your country, but it's like half your country's like desert. So
That is very true.
there's also also have a lot of travel difficulties that might put into play there.
So 95% of our country lives in 5% of the landmass. So everybody,
Desert stuff.
95% of Australia lives in sort of the outer ring around the country, basically. If you were to draw a line around Australia, that would be where 95% of people have lived.
Yeah,
It is very, it's not difficult to get to events because flights between capital cities are generally relatively cheap. But there is the game has been growing very rapidly over here. 4 years ago, for example, our national championships had under 60 people, and now it's over 160. And the video game has grown very large here as well. It gets for their regional events, they get over 200 or 300 people, and for the nationals, I think there was close to 500 players, 400 or 500 players for the national championships here. So
not bad.
the game is growing at a rapid pace here. I just want to mention a couple of names to you of people that you told me you've met. You played against both Jordan Palmer and Brent Tonneson at the London International event.
Yes.
And of course, you played Brent at Worlds in 2015, which was another thing
Don't
we need
don't
to
remind me
discuss.
of that.
Will it be coming to Australia to get some payback on these guys for their games?
Well, I don't want to pay back Jordan because he knows he won because I dead drew. So does Brent, but that world's topic was just unfair. That was such a good matchup for him. So I'd rather just have a good old fight with our fist. I think if I ever play Brent, it's always joyful match. We know each other. We talked a lot together, but when I play against certain people, I'm not going for payback, but I'm just going to play against them how I usually play against most people.
Jesper, I wanna thank you for joining me this evening for you and this morning for me. Of course, there's a 10 or so hour time difference between us,
Yes.
which has made this interview particularly difficult. But I'm very glad that I was able to talk to you this morning and give you a little bit of a rundown on Australia and talk about your experiences. I think that a lot of Australian players will know you and will have heard of you before, and they will be very interested to hear your experiences as a player and sort of your thoughts on the game as a whole.
Yeah.
If there was one thing that you could tell a Pokemon player that was sort of, here is what you need to do to improve, what would be the number one thing that you would tell a Pokemon player?
Um, be creative, get good ideas. I don't in the current formats, practice is not a huge deal if you're like other competitive players. Theory is very important. You have to theorize against every matchup and remember to think out different sort of attacks and maybe out of the box. Who knows? But if you're a newer player, practice always comes first. Have fun. Uh, don't like people will stop liking you if you're not wanting to have fun in tournaments because Pokemon is a really social game, and as I said to myself many times, it takes special people to play Pokemon. So you should be happy that you're at tournaments, no matter how good you go, how good you do. There you go.
Does Jesper Eriksen still have fun when he plays the Pokemon trading card game? He's won every event that a player could possibly win, from a nationals, a world championships, a regionals, a city championships. Does Jesper Eriksen still have fun when he plays Pokemon?
I have a lot of fun. I always miss my friends between every event. It's not, especially Worlds. The depression after Worlds is just so huge. But yeah, I have a lot of fun when it comes to it. And the day Pokemon stops being fun, I'll quit. But as I said to myself, I never quit this game. So Pokemon will always be fun for me, and I hope it will be as fun for me as it is for others. While I'm enjoying myself, I do my best to make people enjoy themselves. So we all have a good tournament.
Guys, I want you to really listen to what Jesper just said then, because this game is exactly what Jesper just said. It's a game, and it's fun, and it's meant to be fun, and as long as you're enjoying yourself, you will always be getting entertainment out of the Pokemon trading card game. Jesper, thank you very much for joining me today. Is there anybody before we go that you would like to shout out or say thank you to?
Shout out all my friends. Yeah, all my close inner circle friends. They've been really good. You all know who you are. I recently signed for Team Limitless. I know it's advertising on your channel, but we are starting our YouTube channel up again. It's just search Limitless TGG. You'll find us. We'll be posting more content. We will also have a lot of reports on our Facebook site. But still follow Ace Trainer Australia, of course, because they are doing really good. They started recently up again, and they are doing really good now. I just signed for Limitless, but uh, no matter what team you're from or anything, you can always write to me and ask for advice. I think I'm really good at responding to every message I get. That's something I really put myself out to. And shout out to my brothers. Oh, my brother Simon, especially building on my decks, basically. I'm really bad at deck building, and whenever I come up with a deck to him, he always says yes or no. And yeah, I want to shout out everyone who want to play Pokemon and just let them continue. Uh, and just say hi to me. Just go and say hi to me if you want to. I don't bite.
All right, Jesper, thank you very much for that. The world's most approachable and easily accessible Pokemon player right now, Jesper Eriksen. All right, guys, this has
Thank you.
been Ace Trainer Australia. Make sure, as Jesper said, to check out Limitless TCG on YouTube and Facebook. Of course, if you don't follow us on Facebook, Ace Trainer Australia on Facebook and the YouTube channel, which you will be watching this on. Guys, that's been it for Ace Trainer Australia in our first sort of interview series. Our next interview is going to be with a series of Australian players, and then we will be getting a couple of American players on to chat as well. Jesper, thank you very much, and we'll see you guys again soon. Bye.
See ya.